Okay, we're live.
We will call this park board meeting to order. Roll call. Samantha? Here. Rachel? Here. Jacob?
Here.
And we turn it over to Rachel for our updates.
Okay, well, to first start off with our visitors here and to everyone that helped with Boo Bash, what an incredible turnout we had this past Saturday. That was absolutely amazing. Now let's top this year with next year. We've had so many compliments, but there are also so many ways to improve what we did this year, and I'm sure we all took from what we did and what was on display. And it looks like Mr. Gump has given us a nice list of some things I was also thinking of. If there's anything anyone would like to add to the list, right off the bat.
I suggest 2 days for setup next time instead of just one.
That is
Right, one
a
day
great
was just
suggestion.
absolutely stressful day. So,
It is, and next year,
and especially if you guys want to go bigger next year with the haunted forest, which I also wouldn't mind doing, it might not be a bad idea to plan for 3 days of setup.
And we need to figure out what we can and can't set up. The mayor brought up, like, what can we set up? Can we get generators out there, cords, lock down generators, you know, chain them to trees, et cetera? What all can we get out there beforehand that can't easily be messed up?
and I also had stuff listed in my notes about working on Maxton's Park as a whole from the Parks Board budget, with having wiring ran, not straight out to the forest itself, but to that second pavilion where we can extend and base it off of there and host more events there, since it's the closest park we have to the school.
Next year I want a fire.
I would love to have little fires. Can you improve them for next year for me?
I don't know that,
We do have an open burn ban in the park, so it'd have to be a special event request through the Board of Works.
does it?
Yeah.
Parks Board can't approve?
Park Board approves it,
Then it comes
recommends
back
it
to
go to the Board of Works.
Gotcha.
Not like the EDC and RDC recommends.
Gotcha, okay.
Council, so.
That would have to go in our permit when I put it in next
Recommend
year.
everything.
So I'm not sure about going bigger, such as, I think the path that we had this year, filling an entire forest full of fun things that we did. We were losing our mind when we first got there, because there's just so much that we face. And it was just like someone had to figure out how to put up the maze. We had no starting point in our minds of how that was gonna go, but we absolutely killed it and crushed it now that we look in hindsight. But next year we will have assigned, I know Andrew's going to be on the maze next year, because he assembled that and Jacob, not just Andrew, but that whole group and then, just so that can be set up while the rest of us can focus on our own little setup. So, my goal is to, throughout the Spooky Forest, have 6 to 8 different sections. The clowns were a hit, the chainsaw was a hit, and all of the random volunteers that showed up to this thing and jumped in was absolutely insane to me. I had no clue how half of these people were, but they made it, and they made it scary, and it was great. But I think next year, Tracy had this great idea of partnering like with the high school team and making a donation to their high school fund, with them guaranteeing some of their football team, or not high school fund, but their football fund, and having some of their football players be in the setup, be in the helping out throughout.
And it could be any of the groups, like National Honor Society or FFA, like there's some FFA kids, there's a bunch of National Honor Society kids there.
Yeah, we had, one of the kids, Carter Davis, was it Carter? It was Carter.
Carter and Nolan were both in it.
They are? I only signed one of their papers.
Nolan is in a National Honors, but Carter just wanted to do it.
Okay, yeah, so Nolan, I signed his papers, but he got a lot of hours by volunteering. And to be honest with you, I did not hear those boys complain once about setup. They ran with it and they've come to me afterwards and they said that they want to do it next year.
Yeah, that's what they told me too.
So
Like they already have ideas,
Ideas,
and I said, send them our way.
like, it's so wholesome that this is taken off this much and we all have volunteered our time, that Seth has created this list and these high school students are already this involved. I think next year can be so much more, and absolutely.
I have random teenagers coming up to the registration desk asking how they could be part of it next year.
Well,
Just to volunteer for the setup, I mean, and they're not part of any special group, they just wanted to be a part of it.
see, and that's, I think next year with a little bit more head time, I know I had messaged Abbott originally, and then Tracy also followed through with a message to Abbott, and we were directed to the high school principal, but more communication between us and the school system, and them putting up a sign-up list saying, if you want to volunteer for this, have at it. I know there was one in the art class, but not everyone takes art class, so, just more communication with those kids and, connecting the community with it and getting them involved.
Did you guys want a financial update? Did you want a financial update on the money you raised and what was spent and what's left?
Did you talk about money?
You don't have to, I ran them today, I've got the numbers,
Yeah,
if
go
you
ahead.
guys wanted them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the amount that was raised specifically for Boo Bash was $3,500, so that was absolutely fantastic. The amount that was spent for everything, and when I say everything, I mean supplies, animatronics, the Cal Horsemen's Association, all of it, was $3,165.29. That's everything. So that leaves, I know something had been mentioned about maybe getting totes for some of this stuff, so that does leave $334.71 to buy storage things or whatever you can find for that.
Absolutely.
My job person.
Next year, since we did make a name for ourselves, I can work on the sponsorship next year and get that same money rolling through, if not more. I think if we, I don't even remember, I'd have to check my notes, Seaberts, I don't know if I reached out to Seaberts, I'd have to check, but there's even little businesses that I did not reach out to that I'm sure would want to be a part of this, since we're working with the high school, we're working with.
Maybe you could even put a container out there that if someone wants to donate, it's just walking through.
Yeah, donations, yeah.
We had a lot of people that were like, this is free. They
That's,
were ready to spend money, so
Mhm.
yeah, free will donation would be.
that's something else that I had written down. If we wanted to do a multi-day spooky forest event, if we wanted to do for collection, if that would funnel into Main Street, or if it would go to parks, or if we had some charity or something that we were going towards. We could collect money for the forest. I mean, we could do as little as $5.
You can also just do canned goods and donate it to the food pantry.
Or we could do something charity-wise like that, exactly.
If you wanna go through the forest, bring a canned good or a box item, and then we just donate it all to the food pantry.
Or at-will donations, so people might give some cash in lieu,
Yeah, you're talking
Your
about,
free will donation, maybe give it to Shop with the Cop or something like that.
but.
we just talked about donating to youth organizations, so you gotta keep that in mind too. If you wanna donate to that or Shop with the Cop, definitely have to raise more money, because we're about to break even this year. We wouldn't wanna get into the park board budget to pay a group to help out, or the Main Street, it'd have to be kind of self-sufficient, so.
Yeah.
But have to get your budget up about $5 grand last year if you wanna put any money out there to any other organization.
Well, if you get a donation next year, you don't have as much to buy to set up. Maybe one new, everybody that came through and then came back through in the end, was excited about next year. They couldn't wait to see what else was added. So I think you do at least have to add one more station or something to change it up.
Yeah.
or your attendance will start going down year to year if you're doing the exact same thing.
I had thought, since I had gone through and I thought that the butcher's barn or the butcher's area was a hit. The chainsaws were a hit and the clowns were a hit. I'm not sure of your guys' thoughts on the others, but I thought about sprucing up the graveyard with actual zombies next year, focus on that area and adding some actors there. If we had a Jeepers Creepers area, if we had cornfield killers or a fallen campground. Those were on my back burner ideas for this year, but the ones that I didn't necessarily add in. But I had since researched to see how people have set up for that.
I like the old guy with the shotgun that Ron brought up.
Oh, I do like that one.
Rock salt show. Rock
I know the high schoolers had brought up when we were tearing down, they were giving out suggestions. They said next year, if we get more cardboard, maybe we paint it black and set that up in the forest too, so they have more places to hide behind.
Yeah.
Cause when it was still a little daylight, you could kind of see them, but they thought like if we made little areas that they could hide behind, then it would be better, and then they could, not go in the same spot every time.
Yeah. And we had also talked about changing the hours of trunk or treat to 6 to 8.
Like 6 to 8, because I think the trunk or treat died down after like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it was.
And then it was just the forest lighting.
Well, then it got too dark, that was another thing. It got too dark and then it was hard to trunk or treat.
Yeah.
We need more lights.
Lights,
We
we
need
cut
more
out
lights
the
across
lights.
the
Yeah,
board.
the only way I was able even to cook grilled cheeses was from the light of that food truck.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, we need more grilled cheeses.
They had it for 60, not 500.
Yeah.
The room sold out. Great. And, the Green Bean Coffee Shop, she was planning on packing up early, but because of the business, she ended up sending the 3 girls from her shop in, because Hamilton's trick or treating was that night. So she ended up having her staff come relieve her, because it was a steady line. It is, and that's, Ron and I were talking before this started about keeping it community vendors for this event and getting into, I know you and Seth are really good with the high school and the school contacts with having like, Boosters Club set up for pork burgers or something along those lines, but.
So on that, I'm on the Little Football board, we have a possession list. That could be something more we could, it'll be like a fundraiser back to them, that you guys would be allowing them to
Heck
write
yeah.
about or.
Yeah.
Well, we also had an idea too, that second pavilion where we were basically standing at, how hard would that be to kind of box in so it created more of a warming station too? Then people would know that we're there, because a lot of people, okay, I saw the grill, but
Right.
what else was there,
We're gonna put some menu items on the cardboard.
Yeah, if we do something like that again, if we're inside and have it kind of wrapped around, then it's,
Yeah.
a little more presentable.
Because one of the things that we talked about was staggering the startups on each thing. So if you started like advertise it as the food vendors would open up at 5, then the trick or treaters would start at, or the trunk or treat would start at 6. Then the other thing, they'd all stagger into each other and they would continue on for as long as they had stuff. But if you started those, people would start to come in and start to go through each individual thing without interfering with the other. One thing I noticed from the trunk or treat side to the haunted forest, people were coming through and getting in line for the trunk or treat because they didn't want to miss out on that. And they knew that was starting at 6, and the forest was starting at 6, and everything was starting at 6. So they got them all lined up and bottlenecked right there at that one spot. They went right by the food vendors because they wanted to get to the trunk or treat. So if you advertised it in that fashion and staggered those, you could go for as long as you wanted, but by giving yourself that hour hookup, people would be more apt to come in and say, okay, I'm gonna go to here, then I'm gonna go to here, then I'm gonna go to here. And their kids will wear them out before they will, so.
One more thing for food for thought for next year is next year, October 31st is Saturday, so this is also gonna be the same time citywide trick or treats going on too, I suspect.
And I was going to bring up, especially on that, it would be wonderful to have it the day of Halloween. But I feel like everyone's going to take advantage of that date if we had taken advantage of the weekend before. I don't know what your thoughts would be.
You know, to tell you the truth, from everything that I saw in this, which really surprised me, this was the only event going on.
Yes.
And so they hit this, and then let's see what's the trick or treat gonna be like on the 31st. We'll see what people do for the 31st, because it's gonna be this weekend.
You mean in Butler, right?
Yes,
Okay, because there was like 4 events in this county apparently.
yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Hamilton
Like
had their
this,
trick or treat.
like this?
Yeah.
Well, they had
No.
their-
Other things.
They have trick or treats, trunk or treats.
Yeah, Auburn had something, Hamilton had something, Auburn might have had 2 things.
Auburn
Here.
has their walk for
Yep.
Eckhart for 2 weeks. They
Yeah.
had theirs from the 17th to the 19th, and then
Right.
the same thing that following weekend.
Yeah, theirs was more of a walk, not a spooky forest, like to be spooked. Which I was kind of keeping an eye on before the event happened, because I thought it might have been some in line with competition, but
Do we know, was there quite a few people that came in from out of town?
there was, there was an incredible amount. I've told you before I graduated from Garrett, I had so many classmates that graduated with their kids over here, because I had invited them to the event on Facebook.
Mel, you said people came from Ohio and Auburn, that's incredible.
I gotta tell you, I was so tired, I left after the game, 10 kids wore me out, I was done.
Well, you were
And
also
you know,
there.
you're in, we were in our own little zone, okay? Didn't realize, I seen the line in the forest, but until I got in my car and left and seen these cars parked all over, I thought, she pulled this off.
Yeah,
I know,
they were parking at the high school.
Well, I wondered,
Yeah.
because I didn't think anything, because the high school parking lot was full.
Yeah, they said people were parking at the high school and walking all that
Yeah.
way just to come.
And people were going out, but there were still people coming in
Yeah.
at that time.
So
And I
with-
thought,
Almost 1,000 people at this event.
And so on that topic of, people parking at the high school, we thought if it almost got to that point of shuttling,
Okay,
possibly doing a shuttle.
Yeah.
so on this, Ron had this great idea, and he said that the softball fields open up. I'm gonna let you lead with this, because I don't
Yeah.
know much
The
about it.
tennis court's right there, that opens up, you could actually park people there. And you could also do it, like I said, like a shuttling operation and stuff coming from there, but I would do a tractor drawn, not a horse drawn. I would go tractor drawn because you're gonna get a lot faster. But also, if we worked with the school, they literally could open it up so when they walk the track, went right through there and walk back if they wanted to. They would park at the school, but they didn't have to take a shuttle, they could walk straight through. And the school would have no problem with that, based on if we, put a track or a course in. Plus, I don't know how the city would do with the softball diamonds, as long as it's dry and it's not wet, we could park on the outfield of those 2 softball diamonds right there. And it wouldn't hurt anything. Now, the football field would be off limits, the practice field, but the 2 diamonds right there, we easily can get into those outfields.
Did you get into those?
You can. Yeah, because they have to get tractors and everything else in there and stuff.
Do we foresee maintaining both of those into next year, do you think?
What's that?
For right now, so
For
we
now.
can get it exactly.
Yeah, there is
What
a,
you do out here.
I'm not exactly sure if that. Busy. Come on up.
What was the fence I had?
Huh?
What was the fence?
Front door.
Yeah.
Yeah, back.
You get to
Across from the.
And that is, goes down.
But yeah, so that's
Our
just one of
board's
those
gonna need
things,
to
so
discuss in
for
the next
parking
year,
wise,
right?
you could work
Just,
those combinations in
and
if you
so,
wanted to.
is that streets that maintains
I
that?
know those people didn't seem to mind
Streets maintains.
parking there and walking.
I remember standing on the bridge and I was walking back to check on our vendors. And I was with Corey and I was watching people pour in with their kids. And I'm like, Corey, there's people pouring in. Was I with you too? And I was like, there's people, and he goes, nah, they're like going back to their car and stuff. And I said, Corey, look. And he goes, oh my God,
Yeah,
people
that
are
was
pouring
tough.
in.
That's a tough area to get into. I know, coaching softball and stuff, it was rough.
Yeah.
And it only holds, I'm gonna say 50 cars total,
And the parking,
Because without that parking facility, we get a parking lot, there's actually a runner, a walkway that would lead right into the track.
Probably like an added fun thing, like, hey, park at school and then hop on this.
You know,
Wagon,
and
right?
that's what
One
I'm
of
saying,
those
if they could do a tractor drawn, wagon or something like that, you know, something that, you know, we'd have somebody that would be in charge of the trailer or whatever it is they're hauling or whatever it was to shuttle them back and forth. But
That's, yeah, I'm thinking of, because I wanted to add an aspect too, just to limit the spooky forest, letting people know it's not handicap accessible and you're gonna be hiking
Or
the forest.
stroller in front of them.
Or stroller friendly.
Which I tried to tell them repeatedly
Right.
at registration.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, we're not gonna tell you no, but we're not gonna.
Like, it's a forest and it's spooky.
There was a concern with like the babies going through though.
what's that, Chris?
I said some of the actors didn't like that we were letting like infants going through.
Especially when we're ripping on the chainsaw and you look up and there's little 6-month-olds out there.
So I think that needs to be addressed, like
Age limit.
yeah, they need to be able to walk through it, like for one, like no strollers.
I think that one thing,
And if they can walk, they can go through it, but like Seth said, there was like infants and then.
Yeah, that's,
They didn't like that.
Yeah.
aspect of it.
yeah, I think that's a great idea and
and you could
also,
put a list of things
Yeah.
on the entrance and stuff saying, look, this is what's in here, be careful, you know, whatever.
and something that does specifically needs to be looked into is the logistics of the groups going through and the timing of it, which this year we will have the luxury, or next year we'll have the luxury of being able to walk through and maybe time it and pre-plan. This year we tried using the walkie-talkies. I don't wanna say it completely failed, but it wasn't the best.
Pretty rough.
It wasn't the best route to go.
Well, I can say, we need more people at registration.
Yes,
So we
yeah.
had 2 of us at registration. Chris was literally like crowd control, holding the line back. But it was very difficult for me to package the groups, assign the guide, get the wristbands on, get the waivers, while I'm listening and giving a spiel and trying to figure out when to send that next group. So you really need multiple people at the registration, and then one person, just one person is designated to get the groups packaged and listen for when to send those next groups and get those guides going.
Yeah.
That would have made it much easier, which is too much multitasking to
I
hear
just-
everything.
We weren't expecting what happened on Saturday. So
No,
that's
that's
exactly.
That's what I kept trying to tell, you know, everyone else, this is
I know.
just a trial and error and just see how it goes.
I
If you just plan on that.
Take,
Like, I'm gonna preface with saying,
What's that, son?
the job we did, what a heck of a turnout, what a heck of a.
I think everybody learned a lot, like what worked, what not to do, and what to
Yeah.
change. You
And
gotta jump off somewhere.
absolutely, and I know Tracy and I had walked some waters back to the actors a little over halfway through, but I didn't even think about breaks for these poor guys. They go back there and everyone's drenched in sweat, and I'm like, I didn't even try to take care of these guys because I forgot about it. But Seth had put on this, this page about maybe having a 5-minute break for them, or,
well, especially for refueling the chainsaw, like we pulled it out, but that was real quick to get that done and then
yeah.
try and get back to location.
What amazed me was your wait time ranged from 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, and they were waiting.
They were actually.
We're
I would say
absolutely.
they, a lot of people, a lot of people didn't leave the line until it really started to sprinkle, and then it didn't even really end up raining.
Not
Which
really.
was a godsend for all of
Yeah.
us.
The one thing stuff, you know, that you guys will learn from this though, is that every station can reset very rapidly. So you don't have to wait, like, in reality, once they got past the Pentagon girls, you could send the next group. They literally, as they go through there, they will reset that fast. Because for me and for Bob and, you know, people that have done this before, I was ready to go within 30 seconds of them passing me. You know, it's that
Except for the
quick.
last station.
Except for
For
the
you guys
last
and stuff,
station.
you would have
We were,
more.
we were trying to change it up even for the guys to try and get them.
Yeah,
Yeah, so by the end, whether they walked fast or whether they walked slow, sometimes they get compiled with back-to-back chasing with chainsaws, so.
Yeah,
It's
so
called
you
the
might have
beginning.
more than one chainsaw, more than one.
Yeah, that's
person.
right.
But
Next
the
year,
other part of it is right before yours, what you do is you find an area that you can constrict.
Yeah.
And you make it so that that is a hallway point, because what'll happen is, once they clear that, you know, you'll have that time, because as they're entering this other area, then they're restricted and they start to slow down based on what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that, you'll get that timing down to where that really works well. And the other part of this is to take a little bit off of your guides, let people go themselves. And the big thing is you station people throughout the forest that are actually there in costume, but are guides themselves. So when they get to a dead point, they're right there, like, let's say between where I was at, where the spider part is, and the Pentagon people, there would be somebody right there where that lady's, you know, like this, you know. There'd be somebody there saying, come this way, you know, enter, you know, things like that. And they don't have to move so much, and then those people don't have to keep walking through the.
It would probably be more fun to station your guides so that one guide stays in the same place the whole time.
You betcha.
Yeah.
And you've got 5 of them stationed throughout those different, and those are the dead points, the places where you got longer distance between stations. And then those people actually are rovers. They can actually go crazy on these people, you know, after they get them guided to go that way, you know, or something like that, you know. But that's where you take a little bit away from the people having to really work hard, you know, walking and stuff, you know. And then as far as like some of the stations, like somebody said, made a comment, we've got plenty of time, because the big thing is now we're starting this, you know, the day after, you might say. But a lot of this stuff can be prefab. Almost everything can be prefab. Everything that we had there can be prefab, except for like the spider webs. And kudos to whoever come up with that, because that was something that was new to me. I have not seen where they put the spider webs across and make people go under them and around them and stuff like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that was high school boys.
Yeah, that was, yeah, I was like, they're like, can we do this? And I was like, as long as you're not making some 6-foot guy have to crawl on the ground, yes, we can duck and, yeah.
No, but you know, I'll tell you, that was the first I've been around it on that stuff. Now, we put vines and we put stuff that was above it, but never to where they had to go under, because one of the things that I saw in numerous locations, not mine so much, but they would go down underneath there looking ahead. They didn't see what was coming off to the side. And I know Bob was in a position and stuff that if he wouldn't have got shined with a light or something like that, a place like that leading into him, perfect, you know? And so there's a lot of those little things that, you know, as you guys saw, the layout was fantastic, I thought, really, overall.
I like the big U shape. I think it's simple, cut and dry, in, out.
And one of the things that I would add on that stuff is between the Pentagon and where that spider place was, where I was hiding in that big log area right there, that worked out really good for me, because I was the only one there. And so they weren't expecting anything coming through that. They were concentrating on the house, the lighted house with the spiders and whatever. But when the other kid came over there, they had the blanket on, and all he had was a blanket. He was scaring more people than I was.
He was.
Because he's coming out of that little ditch area, which worked out fine. I didn't think about putting it on. I just had him sitting there and stuff. I said, just jump out with your hand or whatever. Oh, hell no. He was coming as a spider, you know? And they were like jumping and going into the weeds and all kinds of stuff. But right there where that lady is and stuff leading up to that, let's put a small bridge, because then you can put people under that bridge. There's another station right there. So people can be under there and literally funnel it so they go over this little bridge point. And so there's another station that you would have one person doing a tremendous amount.
I was gonna say, cause we can, with that U shape, if we need to adjust it just a little bit, instead of crossing, I wouldn't say over, it'd be a little bit before where that tree was, but it would be going around that, but you're coming back over that way across another bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be another little section if you wanted to. And then on top of, with the stationings, with the high school kids mentioning the, like throw some cardboard stuff and paint them black out there. Depending on how many of those high school kids you have in those set spots, you could have, you know, maybe say there's 4 of them, you could have 4 blind spots set up and they could just rotate each group. But that way they're already almost reset by the time that they go back through.
And I do guarantee you that, unfortunately, the fog machines didn't work, but if they would have, at least in 2 or 3 locations and stuff, that would have fogged that whole place up. Some of this would have changed dramatically. You know, I mean,
It would have taken the visibility down.
it would have been, especially where Bob was at, because around that end and then leading into the butcher shop from that point and the witch's cauldron, those 3 right there would have benefited tremendously from that. And then where I was at, the Spider Point, stuff like that, that would have been a good place and stuff, you know, with that fog. But it was a great night. Not every night are you gonna have that good, but that fog would have stayed right there heavy and stayed on the ground.
Yeah, that was a perfect night.
It's just
Perfect.
unfortunate that those particular ones didn't.
Yeah.
Distance wise, I paced it off and measured it, and it was just over 3/10 of a mile from start to finish. So,
Bob, what do you think? I thought the length was perfect.
yeah, that's,
I really wouldn't change that much.
No.
about the 10th time I was thinking it was a little long.
After that whole day, and all of us reaching about 30,000 steps, it was pretty long. The only other thing I think the actors said was like, they didn't like how some of the groups, like there were stragglers, so they thought the whole group came
Yeah.
through, and then here comes 3 more people, cause they were stopping and trying to take pictures and
Yeah.
those kind of things, so
Yeah.
we need to kind of keep the groups more together.
Also-
And I think if we have planted guides, especially through each group, they can, like, yes.
You'll easily, from registration where you were at and stuff, you'll be able to know how many's in a family group. And just say, okay, this family go, you know, if there's only 2, you know, hey, run room, the girls go, you know, that kind of thing. Where we were sending so many because we were guiding them, that was, you know, because there were a lot of times and stuff, I would jump out and I would get like 2 or 3, and then there's 12 behind them.
How many were you putting in the group? What it?
Started out with 10, but
Okay.
then we were having groups of 19
Oh,
and
wow.
15 that all wanted to go together. So I would split them, he was helping me split them. You're gonna have to be 10, group of 9. Sometimes I would take, groups of 3 and then 4 and then 5 and combine them all. Cause I think I was told 10 is about the size we want to go. So I tried to keep them at around 9 to 13 at a time. The biggest issue I had the last hour and a half was we were getting a better rhythm, but then I ran out of guides. So I was I would have 3 groups ready and I didn't have a guide.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's
was
where
the
that big
only-
gap came in. I couldn't send anymore.
Let's say I would have been the only other guy, but then she would have been at the desk running back and forth by herself. No one up there ripping, making sure waivers were signed, ripping bracelets and stuff. That was the other thing too, is when we were doing that, we also made sure to ask how much each person was in a group. That way we could try and plan the groups out ahead. Cause then, like I said, there are sometimes, hey, we got a group of 13, is that all right? And I'm like, it's 1 extra person. Like, yeah, that should be fine, especially if you're all in one group together. That should be fine, but like when you said if you had 10 or 19, now we're probably gonna have to split you up, but we always did try to at least ask how many was in each group, that way we knew ahead of time how to split them up into their groups before they.
Yeah, they stretch out enough, it made it tough, because I was trying to blend in, I'd actually wait till they all went past, and I'd go and walk with them. And until it became appropriate, that some of them in front never even saw me because they were already.
And where you were at, we could almost take some cardboard and block kind of where you're.
Well, I had the spider web up there, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
I thought in the dark it would work, but the lights kind of lit it up, so
yeah.
I live and learn.
So we had the opposite of that, we would hit them in front with a chainsaw, and then the back of the group wouldn't get anything, because, we could chase them, but they get that scare factor, or jumping out.
So if you had a second one come up behind,
If you had
Yeah.
one on every side.
I followed them. After the whole chainsaw would like stop, I was like literally just not saying a word. And I walked right to the end of it and went, and they all hit.
I know.
So.
For registration, if you wanna have someone go through the line and have them register, and you can put different color bracelets to designate the groups, so when they get up to the person doing the release, everybody, right, like, they be in a group, you can just release that, that's all that person's doing.
You would need numerous people.
Well, but still, it would, you have to
Yeah.
the registration, ripping the bands.
That line went from the registration table
To the bridge.
Right,
Yeah, to the bridge.
Because I would say, when it started to rain, that's but our cars that we had parked there need to be moved.
Yes.
I had one of the kids, Garrett wasn't paying attention, a little kid came and laid on the car, when I was sitting in it. Yeah, I was not happy. I wanted to be that yelled, but I was.
We'll have designated parking for workers next year. Did you like the setup of the trunk or treat location? Did you think that worked out well with more lights and?
I think with more light, yeah, it would absolutely work fine.
Yeah,
Being on the
you
other
think placement
side.
of
As
everything.
far as the placement goes, yes, I think maybe we should have started the wraparound portion of it a little bit
Well, I was gonna
later.
say that,
Yeah,
well,
we could have ran the cars just straight along the thing a little bit farther. And that would have kept that whole area from being so congested.
I would have kept them across the bridge like we do, because Scotty and one just kept them on the bridge area.
Yeah.
No,
As
like,
opposed to
not
taking
on
everybody
the
on this side, yeah.
Yeah, because sitting over there with all the tubes, stuff, was watching them, and the lines would keep getting longer and longer, and, you know, they were wrapping around, running out of shoreline.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
probably not the
And it just stayed
necessarily
like that.
safe place to have them.
Why don't we,
One wrong step would be in.
Yeah.
why don't we consider putting trunk or treat all along the creek, all the way down? Because everyone was lining up in the main area, and then we moved them. But if they just followed trunk or treat all the way down, don't wrap it back around, just follow it all the way down, get lights, they could just step in line.
Yeah.
And if they didn't want to, they could come back and play games and stuff.
So right at the.
Plus, if we have fires-
And then you start the line of registration for the forest, you go right back up into the thing.
Yeah,
You've
So
got.
it ends over by the road then?
Yep.
And then back.
Yes.
Down by the bridge.
and then that center area where the other side of the trunk or treat was, we could do
Yeah.
possibly fires and things like that.
Absolutely.
You got roads and things like that down there though, too, for certain people driving, might not be able to maneuver their car around all the streets.
Well, we can get someone to park it for
Ellen.
How many cars were there for trunk or treat?
them. There was quite a few.
40.
40?
There were 51 last year and 40 this year, but everybody on Main Street that had one last year was working, so they didn't have
Right.
a car in it, so. Also, you've gotta have better signage. I don't care the way you wrap them, but.
Yeah.
You know, I had people wait an hour and 10 minutes in line only to wanna go on the horse drawn.
They thought they were in line for the horse and they were in line for the
Yeah,
horse.
there was a mix up for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You've gotta have better signage, directing them one way. And,
Yes.
The horse carriage probably needs to move, I hate to say that, but it was a very short ride and the lights were almost blinding.
Was it utilized? I didn't even.
Oh,
get to
yeah,
that.
they probably had
Yeah.
200 people. I mean, he was making, his trip was about 8 to 10 minutes down and back. And he was going from the time he started until it was over. So,
Maybe then it would be haunted too.
Well,
But we can't.
that was kind of the thing where I thought, okay, get rid of the horses, let's put a tractor on it.
And I'm sure I'm
Just
sure
need a
there's,
headless horseman.
there's still, kids in school who used to drive tractors all the time. If we wanted to change it, you could probably ask one of them and they might do it too.
Get the FFA number.
And the horse-drawn thing is cool, I like it, and it's kind of neat and stuff, but, like I said, like Bob just said and stuff, if you put that into play with also in the hot part of it.
There was a lot of people that told me their
It gets
kids,
pretty fun on its own side.
their kids were too scared, so they did the horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah, that's about the only safe place for kids, the horse
Yes,
drawn.
it was.
And you don't wanna spook the horses.
Right.
That's what that
That's
guy
right.
just said, he said, I'll go down to the lagoon and back if it gets too spooky.
Yeah.
He said, I doubt the horse will get spooked. He goes, he said, my horses are fat and lazy. He said, but he said, they do get spooked, he's gonna go from there to the high school and that. Which that was really a problem, with all parking.
Parking and
What do
all
you
the
think
traffic.
that everybody got a horse drawn ride from parking over to the thing? Then you still keep your horse drawn part of the wagon ride, but it's just dropping off over where everything's going on.
That would be a bad idea because the parking was really congested, trying to get them all back there at the softball area. You have a parking like the high school, And then somebody
I could also talk
shuttling
to
over.
Aaron Service about getting a little tractor and trailer that he had for Butler.
Yeah, that's very.
You know, one of the things that, you know, that when we did it, like right now, acres and stuff, we would actually have a small train, you know, that would be pulled through the actual haunted forest part. So there was three things going on the same trail. We had people just walking the trail. We had people going through on like a tractor drawn wagon. And then we had like a series of smaller wagons being pulled by the tractor. And they all were, you know, going through the same park area. And so there was a lot of people at one time. Now we're talking a lot more people because it's much more established. But, you know, they had the horse drawn, or not the horse drawn, the tractor drawn thing, like Bob said, right inside the actual event there. So that was kind of cool because we had stuff dangling over the top of them. We had things swinging over the top of the trailers. We had people coming up to the trailers, you know, but.
Yeah.
George Bob and I just hit you right on and right in there.
So, if, do that, if you did it, if you make one side of the road walking and the other side tractor drawn, is there enough room to get a tractor where we did today for this year? Then the other side you could be walking through.
Doing just a walking through, the way that path is set up is perfect. You know, I don't think we could do anything mechanized through there and stuff, and I think we'd lose the effect of that particular point. But if we had, like an area that, you know, they had something like what, you know, they were doing right there, going up that trail, going back to the lagoons or whatever, we could actually have people, you know, doing something there too, if we wanted to, but not with a horse.
I think next year also focusing on adding more kids games and stuff. As soon as I walked by, all of the games were being used. The maze, giant hit, kids were just running amok.
The lighting at the maze would be amazing.
What?
Lighting through the maze.
That would be ideal. That would be quite ideal, wouldn't it?
Power to that.
Power to the second pavilion over there would be amazing, and Parks Board working on Max's part
Yeah.
specifically, I needs done.
In regards to the kids thing though, my sister, Katia, made a comment, you guys had a designated time for the costume contest, but didn't have like a designated area, so she had no idea where it was at.
Where to go when, right.
So, I guess when you do the costume thing, you know, hey, we're meeting over, you know, or just even in the flyer.
Where did you do it?
Right by the trunk or treat.
It was by the trunk or
Cause
treat.
I was having people ask me all, can I just sit
Yeah.
down to the light?
Especially at night,
Yeah. So there's a table on like straight down.
And this year too, we had so many big ideas that Tracy and I just kept firing and everyone just kept firing, where Tracy's like, oh, these 3 trees, this is where it would be amazing. And there's so many things that because we're only so many people, they didn't get touched on or elaborated on, or we didn't have enough time to set up a nice pretty little
Well, and how
costume
you,
contest stage.
well, and how you were doing it, that basketball court where, like, you had everything set up, and that would have been ideal.
Ideal. I think that needs to be thought on for this next year.
That
And
area
also
behind
put in the notes.
That area behind the second pavilion, right next to the trees, could literally have a nice lighted area.
There's
People
so
there
much
could,
land.
there could be benches, you could set up the picnic tables there, people could relax and enjoy it. You started it at 5 o'clock, they could get dinner and walk over there and hang out by the kids' maze while the kids run, and, I mean, it's a perfect.
Hay bales with fire rings.
And don't get me wrong, it's where I, snuck away to, but.
That's a great
Saves
idea.
that tent you brought, we could have set that tent and have it right.
Or just have a bring your own, will be a fire. Bring your own musket chair.
Is it possible to have a beer tent in the woods?
I know.
Do we want one right at the start or at the end or at the beginning or all the above?
I think there should be a break time someplace out here.
It's that 10 minutes that they talk about.
You guys-
The drink
you guys wanna make it-
part that's rolling forward.
You wanna make it interactive, like some of the places do, you get the necklace, the glowing necklace, and that means you're willing to go through like extra areas or interactive parts, I'm just saying.
And an extra trail.
That's right, splash, yes, splash the thing.
You wanted a squirt gun.
I think that's awesome.
No, that's my daughter for Christmas.
Mayor threw a severed arm at me, man, I had blood everywhere.
The butcher shack, to be honest with you, I remember walking up to it when we did our dark see-through and I cued it all, or I painted it all cute and whatever, and I'm like, oh, this isn't too scary, it's a cute looking.
That changed.
And then he threw a piece of limb at me. Okay, I see, okay. Thanks for clarifying.
Seth was saying that anytime he would hit the table, then they all, like, Zeb and the clowns would get ready, because that's how they knew the group was coming
We
through.
could actually hear that.
Well, that was perfect, because that butcher shack drew everybody's attention up that way, which was allowing me to get in when they didn't spot me. After they couldn't get in.
Yeah, we'll give me an awesome machete. I think it's pretty brutal.
Sweet. You really changed my record.
That's terrible.
I mean, for actors too, those clowns were on people like white on rice. That was insane. I didn't know they were gonna pull up with their A game there. And then the chainsaws right after and right
I
at the
was
end.
like, I didn't get over there too, the clown stuff at all during the whole thing. But I know Andrew was in there and he said one of the things that they did not have available to them was enough seclusion. They didn't
Yes.
have, cause I mean, most of the time, the clowns, if they can make noise and then suddenly appear. Now, I was telling Mike and stuff, one of the things that really works for a clown area is to actually have a clown house, but a lot of strobe lights and a tremendous amount of music.
I don't think the clowns need the element of surprise. They were gathered like a gang, and they were terrified.
You have to walk towards them. They weren't ready.
They just stood there and they were all like taller people. You didn't want to go near them. Yeah. You would like go around them.
I was cracking up at the screams that were coming back.
Clowns are my thing. If I look at them, I'm scared. But I do want to add next year, and it's my personal goal for the Scooby Forest, to get a school bus on that trail for Jeepers Creepers. Little one, people
People like
can
walk through the school bus.
they walk through the back of the school bus, people can be under the seats grabbing their feet, they exit through the front, the guide lets them go in, strobe lights going off, and then they're met with the face of Jeepers Creepers. I need my pants watching.
We walk out at Yogi, we couldn't get,
Hey,
like, we
what
didn't have like a bus, but we put a semi-trailer in there, and then there was an entrance and an exit, and they did that, they like made little walls in there, so they had to like, it was like a maze, and they had to try to get through it, but there was people all in it.
That's the ideal thing, is to get them into an area or change up the element of seclusion, like you said.
Yeah, like I said, you funnel them into certain restricted areas
Yeah.
that will give, like, who's ever passed that time for like setup and.
You can do that with the shotgun guy. You can make a shotgun one,
That's-
funnel it through like a house.
You know what, Cloven?
Cardboard.
Yeah.
Cardboard, utilizing cardboard this year is going to be amazing, because we didn't even know that that was gonna come through until, well, we knew it was coming, but we didn't know what to do with it. So, I think this year, making a clown house or making anything is gonna be awesome. We could do that before he can take it out.
We're looking at setting up.
Somebody can pull it.
But not the cardboard.
But yeah, you're right.
You can almost.
So you could have a tree house somewhere else, and then just have it.
I know we have a lot, but if we're on the wall, that, maybe that, you just say,
It's one of those things we talked
I
about.
was gonna say, it's not an anytime thing.
It's actually happens. In there, so please.
That's not what, that's not
You can literally have vegetation over it and then they come out. Put the hole close to, the side, there's somebody in the hole, they're not gonna fall. And literally and stuff would come out of the hole right there and stuff. That's the cemetery thing that would work well.
Yeah, I think we need to dig holes, put people in the holes, for sure, for the graveyard. Next year's.
Plus, anything that we want to suspend over the trees, that's an easy thing, can be set up a couple days in advance, because it's gonna be high enough, it's not gonna interfere with the disc golf people. But I literally can actually set those up to where we can drop them down to a certain distance above. And even a person, if we wanted to do a person, it'd be easy enough for me to set up a high line for them to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in a tree, but I would,
As long as.
Ron, you say you wanna be hanging from a tree.
I do.
As long as you can.
Make that.
I do.
We can head out there right now.
I know.
Saran wrap you up.
Like which angle? I used to be hanging over and stuff, and then they walk by. That was that.
I think another thing we thought, Tracy, for you guys, I think we should send out a Facebook post thanking the sponsors and Tribal.
That's what, so we had sponsors for this event through the Parks Board sponsoring Spooky Forest, and then also some that sponsored just $250. That's in like Butler Dental Group. I mean, I was gonna get with you, Tracy, but on behalf of the Parks Board, I want to send them handwritten thank yous, and then I'm gonna print a couple of pictures of the event saying that it was a major success, gonna be back next year. We'll keep them informed.
Yeah, because we had sponsors just for the trunk or treat extra candy, which
Right.
came in handy because there was way more kids. We always buy extra candy so the trunks never run out.
But that was another thing, there was a lot of them that didn't know
What's
that.
that?
Katia had one of her friends there, and she kept sending her husband off to buy candy, because she didn't, she had no idea that you guys had extra for it.
Okay.
Okay, I will make sure when we do it next year, we'll make sure all the cards know, because usually they do. So,
Yeah, next
Yeah.
year signage and also.
yeah,
just-
we had like 250 pounds of extra candy. And How much did it cost? Yeah, love
You guys had said something about donations. One thing that we put up was a fish bowl that basically said, help us to make this event better. And we had a fish bowl right there where people could put donations in wherever they wanted to.
Yeah.
And that was something that just, and
Advertise at-will donations, people will be aware that it's at-will donations, and also bring food pantry, sponsor the food pantry.
Yeah.
And I think if we do food at 5, trunk or treat at 6, Spooky Forest at 7:30 to 9:30 or 10:30, just whatever, but when it's dark.
As soon as it's dark.
As soon as it's dark.
The way it ended up, you guys finished the last group within minutes of the 9 o'clock deadline.
Yeah, I
Like
think it was,
literally within minutes.
I think it was 8:55, we sent the
Yeah,
last.
the last group through.
Yeah,
I noticed the line that was gone, and the clowns came out.
Remember, we got to do
Clowns
early.
came out.
They said people left the line and started.
Like 9:03.
Got the rain out to it.
If it had not started raining, we would not have finished by now.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember seeing the line before going in, and then it started raining and coming out, the line was gone, and we still had a long.
I think you probably make it till 10, dark to 10.
Yeah.
You also gotta get the guys to follow the trail, because, I don't know who it was, but they cut between 2 trees past the chainsaw, and we were moving locations, and I was running the whole.
Yeah.
Chainsaw on hand.
something that worked out, and I didn't see who got them originally and stuff. They had flashlights in the beginning. Then somebody came back through with a lantern.
Sherry had a lantern.
Which, that was
Beautiful idea.
That was perfect and stuff.
Because the
I thought we wanted
flashlight
to have a flashlight, but I got exposed a lot of times.
Yeah, I did too.
As they came around the corner, because as they were walking, their light was doing this number, but with a lantern, it was beautiful.
And there was a lot of light though, was getting underneath that, caution tape, so when they was getting underneath caution tape, the
Yeah,
flashlight
that was-
followed them and then it flashed, so
Yeah.
rearrange that area so people not really done.
The other thing, there was a couple of groups where a bunch of the participants had flashlights.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that you're gonna run into, is you're gonna have high school students, you're gonna have adults with their own flashlights, and you can advise them at the beginning, say, keep your flashlights off, stick with the group, I don't know.
If they keep their flashlight on, you just make them part of the show.
Well, it's funny, because as they were coming down the pathway from the girls up there on the hill, it looked like a concert. It was like everybody had their cell phone. And it was like a trail, I was like, well, okay. But then they get around the corner right there and stuff, and then they weren't seeing anything, so they shut it all off. It worked out pretty good, yeah. It was cool.
So if you put some glow sticks or something in the balloon, you might not even need a walking light.
So they make balloons that actually have an LED,
Yeah.
and you just pop it, and they are great. They're cheap too.
Where I
So we
was
can do
at
that.
with the pumpkins, those were great.
I thought-
But I don't know how it was on the other parts of it. Did they do pretty
The
good?
trail was marked well.
Yeah,
And that was a great idea. That was
Good
just
idea.
one of the last things that we put
I was
through.
like, we have all these pumpkins, let's use those as the trail marker. But they said that would be nice to have those over at Trunk or Treat too.
Yeah, oh
Just
yeah,
to,
to
like,
guide
for
a
some
path.
extra, like, yeah,
Yeah, that's. a
and we
great
have
idea.
enough pumpkins to do it.
Yeah. No, I think this is. Might be
They
very
found
good.
us working together because they were chasing people down to us. And then when it was light out, we were trying to stand at your guys' curtain, drawing attention up to us. So the clowns could cop out, you know.
Yeah, I think all guides, once you get it set up, go through with the guides and then set expectations for actors, even though they went above and beyond this year, just,
The one young lady that's in the first group I put through, it was daylight out, but she was also sensitive to strobe lights, so they wanted to walk through while it was still light, so she could do it, but not constitution.
now something you could do, and this is something that we always were aware of, if somebody does have a medical condition like epilepsy or something like that, triggered by that, that's where the information from the guide to, that's where a guide would easily go in with those people. They could tell us as they came in. That was something that we really hit on a lot and stuff like right in our acres, is that there was a lot of times handicapped people or people that had like medical conditions. We were informed of it long before they got there. And that worked out pretty well. And you didn't have to be prepared for it. It was just, they was ahead of us saying, hey, no strokes, or no this, no that, so.
This brings up a more serious topic on an event of that size. And I had spoken with Ron about it, but I think going into next year, all volunteers, all people involved, Ron should put together some sort of, if this type of scenario happens, here's what we do. If you have a medical emergency, here's what you do. If there is some sort of violent altercation, here's what you do, so that everybody is aware what part they play during an emergency.
Yep.
Because that's a lot of exposure out there.
Yes.
Kind of like what we have to do for Butler Days,
Yes.
which maybe we'll get a visit by the Homeland guy next year.
That's why I brought up too on the radios, only using those for like an emergency on that channel, because there's a lot of chatter going on. That if we try carrying the radio, it's exposing our condition, or then we couldn't hear it because we had to move it off to the side. So if something did happen, we wouldn't do it until a guy or someone told us.
So he said like change stations, so Lauren and the person at the front would have been on one station, only being able to talk to each other.
A separate channel,
Yeah.
yeah.
But in that case, you're not gonna hear the emergency channel, right? So if there's an emergency on this
Well,
channel,
he was saying they couldn't hear it because of the chainsaw running anyway.
I think for them, we just need to figure something better out with cues.
If we.
Here's what, when the next group goes,
Like a
here's.
solution, maybe like the registration, there's one person, because we'll have much more people at registration and wristbands and guides.
Right.
They text that first station or that middle station when that utilize texting. I mean, just so it's separate from an emergency line.
If
It
you have
works.
set guides, they could be on that earpiece list and let those people know right there, hey, they're in charge of this area.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah, those people and stuff would have, because they're not going anywhere. They're staying stationary, like Seth said and stuff. That'll cover that whole thing. Now, something that we used was we had a signal light that we used. So anything that would go like a major emergency, there were certain locations, there was a light. And I'm trying to think of what color, it's like purple or blue, I can't remember what it was. So if anything would happen, they hit that trigger up at registration. And then these lights came on. That meant silence, everything stops at that point. Like a bat signal.
I was almost thinking if there was, if we all just got lanterns for the guides, but they had, all the lanterns had like different color lights that they would use. When we asked them, like right at registration, if anyone would say, hey, I have, maybe like epilepsy with the strobes or something like that, you would just change the color to whatever color for that on the lantern. That way when they're walking through, you guys can.
You could also do the glow sticks.
Yeah.
If there's someone with a medical emergency that doesn't like strobes, you got a color. If there's someone who doesn't like this, you got a color, or not like, but has a medical issue, you
Well, if
know.
you did something like that though, what about just giving that particular person the closed kit?
That's what I'm saying,
Okay,
yeah.
that's
You
not-
could literally,
They
you
just
can
put
do
it
the
on
necklace
their
one, they
neck.
put it over their neck, and then you know that that person has an issue.
Yeah, so that'd work out perfect.
You had 2 people come through that were susceptible to stroke.
That was part of our spiel.
Yeah, that
was-
Would they have known, I mean, like, trying to kind of phrase the question, if they, so you asked everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I asked
Okay.
them, and she
Of
asked
course.
them, and the one opted to go when it was daylight, the other one was a severe epileptic, and she did not go through.
The biggest concern that I've got on most of these is always gonna be autistic kids. Those are the ones that, a lot of parents will let the kids come through, but you never know how they're going to react. So that's the big one, and stuff for me. Epilepsy, of course, like you said, and stuff, but autistic kids, because they freak out at some things that they don't normally freak out over. So, yeah.
But in that case, working with those kids, a lot of those parents aren't gonna let the kids go through if they
Yes.
know that's an issue. Now, you'll have some, like, when you have some kids whose parents don't give a crap and they're
That's
just
right.
willy-nilly. But they would be the kids that you would be able to, in most cases, go, they're shithead kids, and you wouldn't want them going through, sorry.
Quote unquote.
But not, I mean, I'm not trying to, yeah, but I'm not trying to be too good a jerk, but I mean, they're gonna be the ones that are obnoxious, and they're the ones that you would probably pinpoint as maybe a problem, not that there aren't other kids that would be a problem, but,
No, there's absolutely,
I mean, most of the kids that, you know, like that we work with and everything are, they have parents that care, and they walk through, you would know.
yeah, at least
Or
there's
they just wouldn't take them.
in the groups, there is kind of an expectation set, especially if there's a smaller group, there's a guide, it kind of gives that overshadowing of, there's rules, we sit together as a group. So as long as we don't go outside of a certain person count, I don't think it's gonna be too much of a problem with like just behavioral issues, but autistic kids, like you said, yeah, they can behaviorally act
You're
out.
gonna know, I mean, you're gonna be able to tell
Yeah.
most of them.
We could plant, I would say plant maybe even an officer, because Corey's out at the elementary school for that specific reason, so, just to maybe help remove, or just in case anything were to happen, just have a precaution, have an officer there, and plant certain officers or plant certain firefighters, just an extra hand, just in case.
And I was surprised at how many went in twice. There was quite a few kids that went in twice, or 3 times, and I think twice for sure.
What I do appreciate about this community that I didn't see in Garrett a lot is they love the sense of community. They love showing up to free events, don't get me wrong, but they show up. I mean, I remember going to Tracy's Trunk or Treats with Athena, and I could not even believe the amount of people that were lined up all down 6 because of going to this trunk or treat. In Garrett, you have food trucks everywhere, but people just don't show up. So
There were a lot of people that were doing that for kids.
Yeah,
I know. Their kids were teenagers or, you know, older,
We
like.
actually had an older couple that just went, they're just the 2 of them.
That's-
Yeah, there was a couple of them actually.
I have, yeah, there were several I see, they were just walking around enjoying everything. They weren't in costume, they weren't trying to trick or treat or anything, they were just walking around enjoying everything.
I had a bunch of people from my work that are older couples that they're like, we just wanna come watch the kids, and they kid watch, not in a weird way, but. Picnic tables, and like I love, I was like, we can go get caramel apple, they're like, we did, we got.
Someone's gotta reach out to him.
I think as a community, it's a good to comment and stuff, and this is something that you and I have talked about before that. And Bob and I know this from way back, even Mike, when we did the haunted lumberyard, that was something that when we started it, way back, what was it, 92, 93, somewhere around there. We weren't sure, same thing, it's how's it gonna go? This community likes to be scared. It really does.
It
Now,
looked
if you
a bit
take-
scary
and like I said, you literally go to different locations and put the same thing on it, and it won't work.
Yeah.
It's just really kind of bizarre how
The
it
dynamic
does
over here
work.
is the same.
And I know of places that have tried this and it just didn't fly.
Yeah.
But you guys were a prime example of what you just saw, is this, you know, they like Halloween, you know, I mean,
We
we
go
go
3 or 4 nights a week for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
When I'm just standing there, I'm like, we could have done this all weekend long, you know, we could have really, like $5 a
No,
pop, these kids
No,
going.
we couldn't have done that all
We
week.
were all so dead. I made dinner last night, and I'm like, what am I doing? No.
I made dinner for the first time today.
Would it help the registration process? I mean, we have old iPads and stuff laying around that we could throw a form on and have 3 iPads there that people are signing. Would that be advantageous?
Yes,
Like
because
a
we were trying to
pre-register?
protect the forms.
Well, I think we put a pre-register on the website,
Yes.
and if you
because
don't,
people
That
have-
is exactly right.
and they're old iPads that are ready to be junked anyway, so if someone stole it, it's not like it's gonna hurt anything, honestly.
Yeah.
So just have those, they can,
Pre-register, yeah, because then they can show their ID, I can match it with a spreadsheet, there's your price, let's go back.
So that's exactly, so if we also were to say there's a pre-registry waiver that you can fill out, bring to the event.
and tell us your,
Right,
and tell
bring
us
it
your
with you.
medical conditions.
And with
That's
all
fine.
medical,
Yeah.
say, we need this signed, I mean, if you go to Kids Empire, if you go to Jungle George's, that's what you do. You don't want to stand in line filling out something, you
Yep.
wanna bring something with you if you're proactive.
Ooh, can we have a normal line and a fast pass line?
Yes.
Fast pass.
Profit.
No.
Oh, no, we're not charging, but if you already did your pre-registration, straight to the front of the line.
Do we have EMT or anybody like that standing by?
Yep, right there.
We have
They're gonna have to prove me to sick, otherwise I'm scared.
This year, again, EMS board
There was one
has to
child
say.
that actually had to mask and walk out. Because they
We
were.
were blessed with a very good.
They were on the ground like falling their eyes out. I only had one. I had one, I had proof of them, but I was
EMS
a real
is hard to
person.
get a hold of.
I had to laugh so
Put
hard.
down,
Actually,
I
to tell you
can
the truth, I
test
took the
myself
whole
with
group
that,
back
I
to
can test
not
now.
being scared anymore because I jumped out and this kid
On
launched
the
himself
that's
off
just
the
so you
trail,
have-
fell, and then rolled down, and I started laughing. Yeah, and I just fell off, I just fell backwards on the street laughing, and everybody else started laughing at me. Well, I didn't scare anybody here.
That's
Yeah,
good.
no,
Yeah.
We had,
We used his.
we had
for a
an
couple
environment
months.
here, and I think the police had, I'm not sure at what level Corey is, the medical part of it, whatever. I know
We probably got lucky, no one expected it to be so big, so what we had would have been fine for the turnout we were expecting. But if it gets bigger than that
Yeah,
even next
right.
year, we're gonna have to have.
We have to.
Right, we
Yeah.
were blessed with a smooth, safe event.
Ron brought us one light.
Hey, could we,
That's one more light than we had.
That's true.
You were making a bunch of debris.
He was like grilled cheese by Braille.
That sounds crispy.
Yeah, by sound.
There's a joke, but I can't.
Next to your lights, signs.
Did you have something to say?
Because I think, where I had the generator part was good for the entry part of it and right there where the kid stuff is. But like you said, I think probably I need to duplicate that at the other end, right?
We probably just need to make sure we have that unit, the light unit, probably 3 or 4 of those. Throughout that whole center area.
Yeah.
Not over on the other side, the cheese toasties can be cooked in the dark.
There will not be cheese toasties.
What?
On your grill for that.
That one we needed was that nightlight that's supposed to be there that wasn't on.
is there something that you could do, like train so many people off the park board and Main Street as like and work for you first responders? Is that something that the fire department or, I know someone that could do that, but does it at our work, but I didn't know if that was something that.
Not based on liability. You gotta have somebody that actually has that certification to be able to do anything on the first
Okay, I
aid
didn't know if that
side.
was something that with your.
So anybody that's like a
There
DMR,
was quite a few firemen that were there with a trunk or treat. too, so if there had been a real emergency. that
Yeah,
would've
yeah,
been-
Yeah, we had it covered up until they left, and I didn't know
that's right, yeah.
when they left.
They left when the
Nobody said
rain
a
came.
word to me.
Well, I'm thinking even.
Oh, the pretty princesses.
Not just.
Well, I think it's something was one of the tries.
But what we'll do next year is.
I don't know, just a real good excuse
A medical
or.
group there, 2 people that will just be there. And we'll have everything we need, we'll have the defibrillator, we'll have the medical side of it as far as like oxygen and.
You're also stationed there with EMS, does EMS stay there? Do you communicate with them often, because it's hard for us to get in contact with them?
Nothing against them, but don't count the EMS on the fact that because they're Parkview, they are on the road all the time. We can't keep them stationary. They can't, in response to the football games, we can't keep them at the football games anymore. Because they can be there for 5 minutes and then the next thing you know, they're home in Indianapolis.
Are there any outside entities that you can hire that's medically trained that can be on site? Like, what?
We have enough to cover them. I mean,
Okay.
You know, all we have to do is just have one medical team there for something this size.
Yeah.
You know, very rarely are you going to, because, all we have to do is basically have somebody to start, you know, the actual treatment, and then we'll call for the.
Right.
And the worst injury we had was Sherry's nose.
Thanks to your dog.
And that was before it even started.
Ask him.
My dog bit her.
Oh my.
No, I didn't. Seriously, so nice about it. No.
She jumped up. She jumped up and hit her with the teeth.
Sharon, get your check from this IT guy.
I looked at Samantha and says, my nose bleeding. She goes, yeah.
She got real excited and jumped up with her mouth open.
Yeah.
Is Victor with the two?
Scraped her.
But yeah, we'll definitely make sure that somebody's on site, you know, next year.
I'd be happy to volunteer, you know, clear.
I think the worst injury that we'll be prone to will be seizures, and then with that, laying on side.
You know, tripping hazards, I mean, we had a lot of tripping hazards that we're able to.
It's a haunted woods, man.
Yeah, you gotta expect
It's
that.
in the
We're gonna need to grind down all the.
Escalators.
all the bricks, all
Escalators,
the-
people movers, the whole trail. You just stand in the middle.
We have done enough to think that the conveyor belt just takes you through.
You know, I'm gonna say, that this is really funny, but the biggest problem was that they painted them pink. All right, once it gets dark, and the person that's leading it sees it, they walk around, with the 5 people behind, they don't see anything. It was like, well, before long, you got an airbag right there, and all the other people are just stepping up.
See, normally we paint them white, so I don't know who went back there and painted them pink.
They
Because
said he did.
I was gonna say, normally well, I should say, when I'm out there disc golfing and stuff, I normally paint them white, even during the day, just so, because you got those little small ones that people just don't see under the leaves and stuff. So as I'm walking through, I'll always have a can with me, and I'll spray paint them if I end up tripping over one, but I usually always use white.
I said this earlier in the day, that this was gonna happen, and it just so happened to happen to me. But you know where I was laying and stuff like that, but I would lay down on the ground and now I was dressed. While I was sitting there waiting for a group, they were just coming around the bend. And behind me, it was just about dark, and I heard this sound. And the next thing you know, up my leg, across my back, and up the thing, there was a gray squirrel. And ran over me. And he never gave me any warning, it was just like 2 little leaf rustles, and then right over, and I thought, somebody is gonna get this.
That's what Spring was.
At least you. Yeah, it was. The loudest one in the whole thing.
At least you knew you were well hidden.
Yeah. You know, I was talking about somebody, like, having to go to the bathroom. Oh, man.
We had mentioned that earlier today when we were up here.
I did.
It's gonna happen to somebody.
Numerous times.
We need to work on, especially with the mayor here, spending some bucks on the bathroom up there, like some lights in.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess.
Curtain stalls up, shower curtains, I don't know, I guess there's not even privacy curtains.
But I will say that, you know, some of the things that we put in, some of the barricade things, some of the, like, the webbing. And like we talked about, as far as like prefabbing, a lot of it, we literally knowing what we already know, what we have and stuff like that, especially like you said, the maze part of it, that can be numbered and it's just put together pretty rapidly.
Yeah, yeah.
and I think, overall,
Jacob said he was excited about making a maze next year.
yeah, if we have
So
like.
It's almost
Maybe
better to set it up as you go.
Yeah. So I was thinking, we set someone just right at the basis, like this person goes out, does the maze, this person sets up the generators, this person runs the lines to this half and this half, and with the gator, so no one's just walking back and forth taking stuff out unnecessarily this
We
year.
need more gators.
I see.
We need more gators.
We do. Something else, and this is something for the kids area,
Yes.
two things that we did, out there, stuff right now, so they had, remember that pyramid, the straw pyramid that they had? They made a complete mountain out of straw, and literally it was a pyramid, the kids got to run around all over it, and the parents lined the outside, so if the kid fell, I mean,
Well, no,
you could climb it all over the place.
yeah, but the hay was also circling it, and they
Correct.
had, corn.
Yeah, we
They
had.
had corn as like
Sensor
a,
stuff, yeah.
as
As
a
a
way to
buffer
break the fall.
And then the other thing stuff would be where you have a big pile of straw and then throw candy into it. And then let the kids just go in there and just
There's a
go,
lot
go
more,
crazy with it.
yes.
And that, like he said, in that area that's vacant to the
Right
back,
behind, yeah.
that is a perfect.
It
place.
is. I mean, and also just expanding the kids' games, because we've seen this year, they were utilized, and we had a strict maze or spooky forest option when you're done with that, because they kept just migrating to the next best thing.
How many people got the pictures taken with the ghosts and everything?
That I don't.
I didn't see anyone. I don't even know that they realized it was there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It needed to be in the light right there, but also when it started out for what light you have, it's not, the light, when it was light out, it made sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause I thought that was pretty cool, and I
Yeah.
wondered how many families actually utilized it.
Yeah, I would love to see some pictures go through, but we're too busy to.
I see.
The ghost,
There's a
ghost dance, they got face in there.
Oh, no, that's the high school art club.
Oh, it's cool. I thought it was really neat. I want to get a picture in there.
I see everybody's got some pretty long lists. I see everybody's got some, there's some pretty long lists of things, are you planning on having a meeting like once a month or something dedicated?
This is the last meeting for this, we're moving on to Easter.
Cheers, next year.
Moving on to Easter.
There's so many things on this list, and like, you know, you need to probably chop it up into 5, and we'll sit in that meeting, and then problem solve for the meeting.
From this, Tracy and I will probably expand the next few months on, grow ideas, grow those little things that everyone misses. And then I would say even start with June can do this. I mean, and that's because monthly goes by so fast, we could even do that. I'm choose to weekly meetings because that's me, but, it depends how much people have lives in and out of here. It depends how much you're committed, how much you want to be a part of it. If you wanna be told everything, be there every meeting. I've got a little one, but then there's people that also, I mean, they volunteer their time as much as they can, so both of us completely understand that. Depending on where we go with meeting wise, we'll keep you in the loop.
How often are the Main Street meetings?
Last month.
I think you should clearly define, first off, what's Main Street responsibility and what's Parks responsibility.
Yeah.
And then
Tracy,
do
yeah.
the appropriate topics that you.
Yeah. We had talked about, we need to sit down and,
Well, sorry, the maze is on you guys.
no amazes us, Andrew. Or you're not even a part of anything, are you? You're just behind a computer.
All day long.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Same. Yeah.
You know,
I think-
something that, we can work on, like, if we start in June, we could actually just assign, you know, a small group to each one of these function houses and just let them do it, you know, if we want to do it that route. So let's say somebody's in charge of doing just the maze, there'd be a couple people just make the maze. Some people would make the butcher shop, some people would do the
Group to
parking
each of those,
situation.
yes.
Some people did the lighting situation. If we did that, then most of the stuff that I see on, that I've heard everybody talking about, are pretty quick and easy stuff to make. They really are.
As long as you have the plans in place, I think all of us can tackle, especially because our meetings were a couple people and now we've gotten this big, so it's nice that
Well,
we have.
stuff's gotta be 5 gallons worth of chili instead of one, I mean, you know.
I know, it really,
That'll-
that'll add us 5 more minutes, but yeah.
Again, you were told 50 to 60.
And that's one reason though I didn't want to go out there and here, because you could have set on 18 roasters and that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
30 people there.
Mhm.
well, like I
It was
said,
really good chili though.
We were stunned, I guess, you know, because within an hour, because,
Well, once they got through.
because what they did is they all went stood in line and waited for trick or treat, and then once trick or treat, then they filled
Then
it
they
back.
got
and they
coffee,
got
right,
coffee,
and then they had us.
And then they would go over.
Right, I mean, the dynamic of this event, when you sit down and you sit back and look at the, you could say infrastructure or the demographics of what they did and where they spent money on, because my bet was they weren't going to spend money on the expensive coffee, they were bringing their kids to a free event, they were gonna go to the spooky forest, kids were gonna need some fun, expensive, hot cocoa at the coffee truck, but they were just gonna say, no, let's go home, have something at home. No, they kept going back and forth, back through the forest, which I didn't even predict was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So next year, when I say we need more vendors, that money's gonna flow back to the school, to us, to more events, but it just depends where we want to allocate those funds to and how we wanna plan it.
I know Irvin's Candy Kitchen, he said they did fantastic and he said sign him up for next year.
None of us
So-
could have planned for what happened this year.
well, like
mean,
I told you when we first talked, the worse that it is, don't worry about it. It could be very bad.
He was picking me up, the
Just-
first meeting that we had, he goes, it's probably gonna suck, but it's fine, because you know, your next year, you'll learn from it and you
It's
can make
all
it
about
better. It's,
Talk.
and you
People
learn from,
talking to each other.
we had a great first year, but we also, like, we
Got a lot of
all
pressure
had
on you now.
on us, it's not just me, this is all of us.
I hope it
guys.
doesn't suck next year.
I know you're a part of it. But,
I say coming off of what last weekend was, it's gonna be challenging for sure.
people are gonna
but-
show up, yeah, right, I think if we switch up Spooky Force, add kids games, get it cracked down to, we have a couple days set up, we're not all running with our heads cut off like this year. I think we can use our minds for such a great planned lit event.
I think you guys hit on it earlier and stuff, but I really think we ought to stay away from the trick or treat Halloween night.
Yes.
And just do it the week before,
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
know what? Let people do the Halloween trick or treating. That's,
I won't be here if it's on the 31st, like I won't, I'm sorry.
it's impossible. you know?
I have family stuff.
Right, I have a daughter that I wanna walk around with,
You
to
bet.
be honest, so that's 50% of me being selfish of,
But I'll say that that's probably one of the reasons why
Yeah, that's why it
the
went so well.
success was so good.
Yeah.
Because, you know what, a lot of people, like I said, Halloween wise, it may not be the most religious of holidays, but there's a lot of people who get involved with it.
yeah.
And a lot of people like it. It's kind of a little escape, it's totally different.
See, there's still people that are around our age that still just love to dress up, just.
There's a
they
random,
love Halloween.
we had, so Tracy and I were talking about this guy that commented on that picture, we had a random Michael Myers show up.
He really wants to come next.
Oh,
And he wants to come next year.
sign off sheet, we'll be contacting.
He
Said he never broke Mary Bridget.
He went on, and he's like, hey, I did this picture, guess who I am, and I'm like, I don't know, we want to think Ryan is that kind of person, that Myers, so we were like, we were like, Mr. Myers.
I walked, got a shoot picture, because he was so much encouraged that I looked down and said,
Yeah, when they said that Mr. Myers was in the last group, and I was like, uh-oh, we gotta do something. And I said, there better be a standoff at that end of that court.
And he walked up to my daughter's car. That was great.
Well, we covered all the bases?
I think so, I mean, seriously, for a post game, I think you guys.
We'll be in touch, if you have any more ideas, get a hold of Trace your eyes.
Bob?
So,
I can think of it.
I saw that some of you had shirts.
I didn't wander much, so I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't wander around.
I didn't get one.
Even if I got paid for one.
Yeah, 'cause there are people.
I didn't get
You know, they don't, yeah, who got coffee, who, you know, and it was like hard to go. oh,
Rachel,
well,
who all got
around
shirts?
here somewhere.
So our Parks Board and Main Street got shirts, I absolutely agree.
I was trying to
Andrew, yours
figure
is in
out
the back of my car, and like I said, you are not on any board, so stop.
Even if you just got them like.
Princess Bride, in the.
So,
Irish one.
not, you just,
If I did,
Absolutely,
that's-
so, like,
that'd be
I know
cool.
your shirt, that's what made me think about it.
So.
I'm sure, like, next year with what my goal is for budgeting wise, and also getting the sponsorships for this, I'm sure we can allot $100.
Even if I got to pay $15 for one, I'll.
We're switching to sweatshirts next year. We had t-shirts this year, so we were mostly all covered up, but she had a great idea of putting it over her
It's been
sweater.
over mine.
I say that's what I did, I put
I
mine
did.
over my sweatshirt.
I didn't, but, so I was walking around with an official walkie-talkie with an earpiece. People knew I'm at business, so it's nice.
So we're saying October 24th next year.
October 24th.
Well,
Okay, that would be the Saturday before Halloween.
Is everybody, are we done? Has anybody got any other suggestions?
No.
I think that's a pretty good hit right there.
Next
So do we have a motion
Next
to
year's.
close the meeting? A nomination?
You guys want me to join us?
Motion, yes.
Sherry, second?
She's like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, costume and.
All right.
That's it. I got the look, guys. I got the look.